My mother snapped, "You're just the bank account," as she thrust the entire will into Hannah's hands. "Then don't expect another cent," I shot back, transferring the property title and cutting ties. "All $9,200 in aid? I'm Joseph, 34, and I've always been the dependable one in our family. I wasn't the golden child, that was my younger sister Hannah, but I was the one who fixed things when they broke. I covered overdue bills, even when no one requested it. When Dad was laid off and Mom's illness dragged on, I handled it all. Food, utilities, you name it. I never sought praise or made a fuss. I helped because I thought that's what family was, showing up, even if no one acknowledged it. I didn't see the imbalance until a few months ago. It was an ordinary Thursday. I'd just gotten home from work, still in my uniform, warming up leftovers when my phone pinged. A text from my cousin Nancy. "Hey, sorry about the will. That's harsh," she wrote. I froze, clueless about what she meant. Then she sent a fuzzy photo of legal papers. Dad's handwriting, Mom's signature. I studied it carefully. My hands grew clammy. It was real. My parents had drafted their will weeks earlier and never mentioned it to me. Everything they had, the house I helped save from foreclosure, the small lakeside cabin Grandpa constructed, was left to Hannah. My name wasn't mentioned, not even for something minor, like the desk I built as a kid. It was as if I didn't exist. At first, I convinced myself it was an error. Maybe they forgot to revise it. Maybe they assumed Hannah would share. I called them. No response. I texted Mom, "Can we talk?" She saw it but didn't reply. That night, I paced my apartment. The will's image haunted me. I thought of all the times I sacrificed fun or comfort to support them. The cash I slipped into their mailbox when I knew they were struggling but too stubborn to ask, yet they erased me entirely. 3 days later, Mom finally called while I was at work. I didn't pick up. She left a brief voicemail. "Hey Joseph, sorry, been swamped. We meant to tell you about the will, but it seems simpler this way. Hannah's got a family, she's settled. You're doing fine, right? Call me." Her tone wasn't cruel. It was worse. Dismissive. Like I wasn't worth a proper conversation, like I should just swallow it. That night, I listed every bill I'd paid for them. Utilities, internet, trash collection, even their streaming subscriptions. I tallied it. In 1 year, I'd spent over $9,200. That didn't include groceries, gas, or small expenses I covered without a second thought. That's when it sank in. I wasn't just a dutiful son, I was their unpaid servant. Their fallback plan, taken for granted. I didn't lash out, I didn't send an angry text, I just stopped, silently, deliberately. I removed my card from their accounts. I canceled their subscriptions. I let the unpaid bills do the talking. For a while, there was silence. A week passed, then another. Then, one Monday morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. No greeting, no, "How's it going?" Just, "Power's getting cut off. Did you miss the payment again?" Again, stung the most. Like it was my permanent role, like I'd let them down for something they never appreciated. I stared at the text for ages. I considered a sharp, detailed reply. Instead, I typed one word, "No." Then I blocked her number. That didn't end it. She tried calling from Dad's phone, then Hannah's. Even distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years started texting, acting casual. I ignored them all. Soon, my inbox overflowed with guilt trips. They said things like, "You know they're struggling. This isn't you, Joseph. Family doesn't abandon each other." One even wrote, "Don't be so theatrical." But none knew the full story. None had heard Mom say, "You're doing fine." Like my stability meant I didn't deserve care or respect. Like once I didn't need their help, I stopped being their son and became a resource. Not a person, but a tool. Something disposable. 2 weeks after blocking her, I got a voicemail from Hannah. We hadn't been close since college. She was always the favored one, the flawless daughter. Our bond was weak. Her message began cheerfully but shifted midway. She said, "Hey Joseph, I heard there's some confusion. Mom and Dad are in a bind right now. I figured you'd be kind and pitch in for a bit. I'm swamped with the kids, you know. They need the water back on. I told them you'd step up." I didn't respond. But her words, "I told them you'd step up," stuck with me. It wasn't a request. She wasn't asking. She assumed it was settled. That's when I truly grasped what was happening. It wasn't just that they favored Hannah. They genuinely believed my purpose was to solve their problems. That no matter how they treated me, I'd always fix things, pay bills, clean up messes, because that's who I'd been to them. Not a true son, not an equal, just a resource. So I decided I was finished. But I wouldn't send long messages or justify myself. I wouldn't keep sacrificing. This time, I had a plan. It began with a discreet visit to the county clerk's office. It was a chilly, rainy Tuesday, one of those dreary days that weighs on your soul. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't take time off. I went during lunch, coat zipped, hands in pockets. The office was nearly empty. A few elderly folks shuffled through forms. A young couple whispered near the marriage license desk. I approached the counter and asked for the property records clerk. The woman barely glanced up. "What's this about?" I said calmly. "I need to review the deed to my parents' house." She handed me a form. I filled it out meticulously. This was the house I'd saved 3 times, the one I mowed in my 20s when Dad's back gave out, the one I repainted and repaired every winter when they couldn't afford it, and now they'd given it, all of it, to Hannah. No mention of me, no shared ownership, not even a thank you. After 10 minutes, she passed me the file. I opened it. They'd refinanced the mortgage twice in 6 years. The loan wasn't massive, but not trivial either. And there it was, in black and white. My name wasn't on the deed, not even as a future heir. Just my parents' names and a clause stating the house would pass to Hannah after they died. I stared at that clause for a moment. Then I closed the file and slid it back. I didn't request a copy. I didn't need evidence. I just needed certainty. On my way back to work, I stopped at the bank. It wasn't planned. It just felt like time to close everything. Years ago, Hannah and I had opened a joint account for a failed business venture. She'd pleaded to keep it active, just in case. We tried again. I left a few $100 in it and forgot it. But when I checked the transactions, I nearly chuckled. For 6 months, Hannah had been siphoning money from our shared account to hers. Small sums, $20, then $50. Like I wouldn't notice, like I wouldn't care. I withdrew the remaining balance, closed the account, and flagged the activity. Not to punish her, but to send a silent message. I'm done bailing you out. Then came the toughest step, the one I'd delayed too long. I contacted a lawyer, not a loud TV ad type, but a steady older woman named Catherine, recommended by a colleague. We met in her modest office sipping cold coffee as I laid out everything. The will, the bills, the years of unacknowledged help. "I'm not suing them," I said. "I just want to shield myself, legally, financially, emotionally." She nodded thoughtfully. "We can do that. First, let's establish boundaries. Then we'll handle documentation. You've been their financial crutch for years. If they try to drag you back, you'll need clear proof of what you did and when you stopped." It was like she instantly understood my needs. She helped me draft a formal letter, something I never imagined sending. It was polite, professional. It stated I was no longer responsible for any bills, debts, or obligations tied to my parents' home. It didn't point fingers. It wasn't emotional. Just facts, notarized. I mailed it with tracking and a signature requirement. 3 days later, Hannah called during work. I didn't answer. She called again. Then Mom. Then Dad. Their voicemails grew frantic. "Joseph, why are you doing this? We didn't mean any harm, just talk to us." Then came the voicemail that hit deepest. Hannah again. Her tone softer, less confident. "Mom says they might lose the house. They can't keep up with payments. Things. Joseph, I can't take them in. I have my own family. You were always the one who held us together. Please, just help them through this." That line, "You were always there," lingered. Not, "You were cherished." Not, "You were appreciated." Just relied on. That moment, something in me shifted. I wasn't furious anymore. Not like before. Their betrayal once felt like a fresh cut. But now it was a faded bruise. What I felt now wasn't rage. It was something steady. Something finality. A quiet voice in my mind saying, "You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep them warm." My silence wasn't come from spite. It was resolution. But it wasn't stopped there. A week later, I received a letter. No sender's address. Just my name in unsteady handwriting. I nearly discarded it. It felt like another manipulation attempt. But something stopped me. Maybe it was how Joseph was scrawled. Shaky, like the pen wavered. Or maybe it was the eerie calm after Hannah's last call. A stillness that felt less like surrender and more like expectation. Inside was a single sheet of notebook paper, torn from the kind Dad kept by the couch. Some ink had smudged like the words were written with care. It read, "Joseph, I don't expect you to absolve us. I'm not sure we've earned it. Your mom decided on the will. She thought it was cleaner to give everything to Hannah. She assumed you wouldn't mind. Since you're set. I didn't challenge her. That's my error. I got your lawyer's letter. Now I see what it means. I see what you've done for us. You covered costs without ever grumbling. You never demanded recognition. You just showed up. I've overlooked things for too long. Deep down, I knew." The letter wouldn't mend anything. But then came something I hadn't anticipated. "Your grandfather left you something. Your mom never told you." I paused. I reread that line. Again. Then I turned the page over and kept reading. "He left you the cabin. The lake one by the lake. He signed the documents before he died." Your mom passed said away, but your mother thought it was better to keep it in the family's name until you were ready. Later, when they wrote the new will, she instructed the lawyer to put it all under Hannah's name. I didn't object to her. That's my fault. But the cabin was never Hannah's to claim. I saved a copy of the original deed. It's in the attic, in a tin box behind the insulation. Do what you want with it. I don't expect a response. I'm sorry, Dad. I sat in my parked car for nearly an hour after that. The letter rested on the dashboard. My hands were calm. The engine was off. Everything felt eerily silent. I wasn't upset. My heart wasn't racing. I wasn't trembling. I just felt still, completely lucid. Suddenly, everything connected. The missing papers, the way Mom deflected whenever anyone brought up the cabin. That one Thanksgiving when Hannah casually remarked, "It'll be great to spruce up the lake place once it's sorted." I thought she meant decades later. But she already believed it was hers. The attic, the tin box, behind insulation. I drove to the house, the one I'd been to countless times. It looked unchanged, ordinary silent. A faded lawn chair sat by the porch, slanted, untouched for weeks. The blinds were drawn, but I saw a faint glow from the living room light through a crack. I didn't knock. I used my key. Of course, I still had it. Inside, the air was heavy with old coffee and dust. That smell that tied to childhood. The house was empty. Maybe that was fortune, or destiny. I didn't care. Either way, at first I didn't care. I ascended the stairs deliberately, the letter still in my pocket. The attic hatch screeched, untouched for years. I lowered the ladder and climbed into the stuffy, stagnant air above. It was, as I recalled, dusty, neglected, cluttered with boxes, old decorations and forgotten things no one needed. The insulation was by the chimney. I reached behind it. My fingers scraped the rough fibers. And there it was, a battered metal tin box. I pried it open. The latch was rusty but not locked. Inside were faded papers, aged yellowed, a few grainy photos of Grandpa, and carefully folded, the deed transfer. My name, his signature, dated 3 days, weeks before his stroke. The cabin had always been mine, and Mom had concealed it. I didn't know what I felt then. It wasn't fury, it wasn't triumph either. Just a hollow ache. For all the years I thought I didn't matter. For the times they made me feel like I was just fortunate to exist separately. For the shame I'd carried for stepping back, even when I'd given more than anyone. I collected every document, placed them in a folder I found nearby, sealed the attic, raised the ladder, and left the house as I'd found it. I didn't leave a message. That evening, that night, I drove to the lake. It had been almost 10 years since I'd seen the cabin. It looked older than I remembered. The porch sagged slightly, but it stood firm, still serene, still mine. I stood by the water's edge, the folder under my arm. As the sun dipped low, and for the first time in ages, I felt something I hadn't felt in forever. Calm. Peace. But that calm tranquility didn't last. 2 days later, Hannah appeared at my apartment, furious. It was just before noon on a Saturday. I'd intended to return to the cabin to assess repairs before fall. I wanted to check the inventory. I planned to check what was there, maybe write down what needed fixing before autumn arrived. But rapid, sharp knocks shattered the morning's peace. I knew it was Hannah before I checked. She always knocked like that, urgent and demanding, like everyone owed her their time. I considered ignoring it, but I knew this was the moment, the one I'd expected, or maybe dreaded. I opened the door slowly, keeping my expression neutral. She didn't wait. "You rummaged through Mom and Dad's things," she screamed. "No hello, no courtesy, just diving right in." She wore a hoodie and sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. Her teeth were gritted so hard I could almost hear them. Under eye stayed quiet. I stepped aside, letting her in. She barged in like she owned the place. "They woke up and the attic was trashed. They were scared out of their minds, and you took the box? Really? What's next, sneaking around like a criminal?" "Sit down," I said. That halted her. I don't think I'd ever spoken to her like that. Stern, steady, emotionless. She blinked. "What?" I repeated, "Sit down," and she complied. Surprisingly, to my surprise, she did. Mostly. I straightened up. I sat upright. She straightened up too. I grabbed the folder from the counter and sat across from her. Then I slid it on the table toward her. "Look, at it." She opened it, expecting a prank or forged papers. But as she read through it, her expression shifted. "That's not..." She didn't... "It's real," I said. She scanned the cabin deed, once, then again, thrice. The room stayed silent. Then she spoke, barely audible. "It's not right. It wasn't supposed to be separate," she said. "It was meant to be part of the estate." "It wasn't," I replied. "But Mom claimed it was." She looked up. Her voice hardened. "You helped her draft that will, didn't you?" I leaned forward. You helped write the new will, didn't you? Smoothed things out. She didn't respond, but her jaw clenched. I continued. Grandpa left me the cabin. He transferred it before he died. Mom buried it. You didn't even care, I said. You never visited. You moved away, got your career, and forgot us. Forgot mean? I built a life, I corrected. She scoffed, crossing her arms. You always posed like you're the martyr, like you carried everything. Newsflash, Joseph, we all had it hard. Do you think it's simple raising kids on a tight budget? Do you think it's easy being their shoulder to cry on when they're upset? I met her gaze. Emotionally, Hannah. I paid their mortgage. I covered their bills. I skipped trips, missed family gatherings, gave up years of time with friends. So they wouldn't lose that house. And what did I get? She was silent. I didn't need her answer. I stood, walked to my desk, and opened a drawer. I took out another document, my lawyer's letter. I placed it beside the deed. You're not getting the cabin, or a cent of what I paid, and Mom and Dad, they're grown. If they need help, they can ask like grown-ups. But the old me who everyone used as a safety net, he's gone. She opened her mouth to speak. I stopped her. You don't get to storm in and demand anything, especially not something stolen from me. She sat, fingers trembling, with the folder's edge. Then softly, they're scared. I nodded. They should be. They might lose the house. Ironic, I said. Her voice wavered. Joseph, come on. We weren't tight growing up, but we're still family, right? I tilted my head. Were we? She flinched. I spoke evenly. I was family when you needed money. Needed cash. When Mom needed her card bill paid. When Dad needed a ride to the hospital. I was enough. But when it came to names on paper, I vanished. You're blowing this up. No, I said firmly. You didn't see how much I gave, or how little you thought it was worth. She stood, clutching the folder. So you're just cutting everyone off? Already done, I said. You're just realizing it now. The room grew heavy. She lingered, expecting a softer word to ease the strain. I didn't offer one. She left without another word. The door's click was the calmest sound I'd heard in weeks. A month later, a mutual contact mentioned. Mom told them they'd tried refinancing. The house, rejected. Something about late payments and a flagged debt. They were considering selling, moving to a cheaper place. They didn't reach out to me. I didn't contact them. Hannah sent one final text. You really did it? I didn't reply. Instead, I went to the cabin. That weekend, I brought tools, paint, a ladder, and supplies from the hardware store. Fixing it was slow, quiet, restful. Every nail I hammered, every window I sealed, felt like reclaiming something, not just the cabin, something in me. I hung Grandpa's old tackle box by the fireplace, found a photo of an old picture of us, me, 8, holding 2 tiny fish, beaming. I framed it up. By autumn, the leaves glowed golden and the air smelled crisp, of pine. I realized I didn't miss them. Not truly. What I'd grieved wasn't them. It was what family should have been. Trustworthy, caring. Now I was building something new, not from guilt, not duty, choice, and that choice meant more than any legacy they could leave. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.